On tonight's season premiere of Street Stories,
and my beautiful daughter, she'll miss her.
His daughter died in a car accident.
She wouldn't even drive to the corner without putting her seatbelt buckle on.
Her seatbelt might not have worked.
These buckles are in how many cars?
Hundreds of millions of cars.
Oh my gosh.
Could your seatbelt be unsafe?
This should never happen to anybody.
A Street Stories investigation.
Seatbelts are to save lives, not to ruin them.
Good evening and welcome to Street Stories. I'm Ed Bradley. And we'll show you one hazard of the highway that could be much closer than you think.
I characterize it as a design flaw.
Next, if you think safety belts always keep you safe, think again. We found surprising evidence of what can happen after you buckle up.
Look what happens. Oh my God.
More Street Stories in a moment.
Every day, millions of us get into a car and buckle the seatbelt, almost without thinking. It's dependable and safe, that's the belief, but as you're about to see, the reality is much more disturbing. A Street Stories investigation has uncovered shocking evidence about millions of seatbelts like this one that are in most of our cars. But as Roberta Baskin reports, they might not protect you during serious accidents, just when you need them the most.
You've gotten pretty good at this.
Oh, thank you. It's just a lot of practice.
Did you know that you would be able to do this much?
No. I couldn't move from my neck down.
This is how far Wendy Wiedela has come over the past 4 years.
I'm stronger and I have more now than I've ever had.
She still has a way to go.
It's not like it used to be. It's not like I can walk around in a miniskirt and turn heads like I used to be able to do.
5 years ago, Wendy had no trouble walking right to the front of her class to deliver her high school commencement address. Wendy was class president, National Honor Society, pretty, popular, and athletic.
I was really, really, really happy, and it took that away from me. It took all my independence away from me.
Wendy says what changed her life was a seatbelt. Her Ford Mercury Lynx was broadsided. Wendy was thrown from the car and broke her neck, but she remembers wearing her seatbelt. Even the woman who hit Wendy swears she saw the seatbelt strap across Wendy's shoulder right before impact.
I know, in my mind, I don't know about anybody else, my seatbelt was on, people saw me with it on. And after that accident, I was on the side of a road. And I know from the way my car looked after my accident, my driver's side was barely damaged. I would have been fine. I would have walked away from that. Instead, I'm wheeling around in my wheelchair.
We're having a meeting with the Ford people next week.
Wendy and attorney Darrell Peters are suing Ford Motor Company for installing what they claim were defective seatbelts and are gathering evidence for the upcoming trial.
I gotta go back, way back to
Okay, ready? Why don't you take some more pictures of this, showing the position of the belt buckle.
They claim the seat belt buckle sprang open during the accident, something automakers say doesn't happen.
Wow.
I characterize it as a design flaw.
Steve Sison is a former General Motors engineer, now accident investigator, working on Wendy's case. He says seatbelts normally hold, but in certain types of accidents, like Wendy's, the seatbelt buckle may unlatch.
Rollover accidents, multiple impacts where a car is hit from the side and then hit from the front, or hit from the front and then hit from the side.
And those are the kinds of cases that you investigate and find that the seatbelt was buckled and became unbuckled in the force of the crash.
That's correct.
Seatbelts are supposed to open with the press of a button. But according to Steve Sison, since the mid-60s, most American-made belt buckles can open when the release spring inside is hit from behind.
And really, in order for the buckle to open, it has to hit something hard, and the hard part of your body typically would be your pelvic bone.
These buckles are in how many cars?
Hundreds of millions of cars. The same basic design of buckle. You're missing, there you go.
Wow.
The auto companies call this a parlor trick and say it never happens in their crash tests or in real accidents.
So this is the Type 1 buckle.
That's correct.
See what happens if you can hit it.
It's not just American cars, but some foreign cars as well.
You think that it could happen. What you just put on that belt is the kind of force that you could find in a crash.
Sure, definitely.
When you worked as an engineer at GM and you were doing crash testing, did you see this problem of seatbelts flying open in a crash?
Occasionally, sure.
There's also evidence recorded in auto company crash tests that apparently was overlooked. This is a fuel system test, but look closely. The seatbelt goes flying on impact.
Well, the real problem is that they've been building vehicles with these seatbelts for years and years and years, and the real liability is that if they admit that these seatbelt buckles are defective, that exposes them to hundreds of millions of dollars in product liability lawsuits.
Ford wouldn't answer any on-camera questions, but like other U.S. automakers, it's known for 25 years. Seatbelts with a center button release can open unexpectedly when struck from the back. And now with over 100 million cars on the road with these buckles, the industry staunchly defends their safety record.